Lipakshi Khurana coming up in the next hour. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri to brief MP delegations in 2 phases before diplomatic outreach on Operation Sindoor. 59 leaders to visit 33 countries in the coming days. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins Europe tour with the Netherlands, appreciates country's support against terrorism. Expediting first tranche of bilateral trade pact, Union Minister Piyush Goyal meets U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick, advances India-U.S. trade talks. Russia-Ukraine likely to seal a peace deal after U.S. President Trump speaks to his counterparts Putin and Zelensky. Trump says Russia and Ukraine to immediately start peace talks. Former U.S. President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis snowballs into a political issue. Trump fuels speculation that cancer diagnosis was covered up, says he's surprised the public was not informed about it. India braces for further rain fury as Met Department issues alert for extremely heavy rainfall in south and northeastern India. Karnataka continues to be on alert for extremely heavy rainfall. Well, on to the details now. India's Foreign Secretary will brief 7 MP delegations on Tuesday that are set to visit 33 countries to brief the global leaders on India's resolve to deal with terrorism firmly against the backdrop of Operation Sindoor. The briefings are scheduled in 2 phases, with the first one occurring today and the second is scheduled for 23rd of May. India has initiated a diplomatic effort to strengthen its global position following the Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 civilians. This campaign aims to counter Pakistan's attempts to overshadow terrorism while prioritizing Kashmir in international discussions. Also, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs had a comprehensive meeting on Monday with Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, briefing members on current foreign policy developments regarding India and Pakistan in the wake of Operation Sindoor on May 7th and subsequent understanding reached between the 2 countries to stop military action and firing. Well, Congress leader Shashi Tharoor, who heads the Standing Committee on External Affairs, said the members expressed desire to have a resolution expressing solidarity with the Foreign Secretary in the face of the unwarranted attacks or comments.
This was a very, very thorough discussion. Many of the MPs had thoughtful questions to ask. There was even a desire to have a resolution expressing solidarity with the Foreign Secretary in the face of the unwarranted attacks upon him. He himself requested there should be no resolution, but it was a unanimous sentiment of the committee that he has performed a good service for the nation and we all stand with him. And that was not a formal resolution, but it was definitely the wish of everyone. I also want to add that the committee has in many ways covered a lot of constructive ground and has left with satisfactory responses to various questions.
And for more, we have Debyendu Mondal joining us from New Delhi. Well, Debyendu, how important is this diplomatic mission in showing India's determination in fight against terrorism, especially in light of Operation Sindoor?
Lipakshi, this is an extremely important exercise that the government of India has taken up. There have been 7 teams formed, which will be headed by 7 different MPs. These are all multi-party delegation that will be going to over 33 countries across the world, carrying out the message of India, its fight against terrorism, and also to expose Pakistan and its nefarious activities related to proxy war that it wages against India through its state-sponsored terrorists. So therefore, it is a program where these delegation will be going from country to country, be it from the Far East to the far west, including the United Nations, where they will be presenting a dossier, in a sense, giving an outline of the activities of Pakistan and its terror hideouts, and also how India has been able to successfully wipe out a lot of these terror hubs that operated from within Pakistan. So, of course, India also has information about how these terrorists functioned within the land of Pakistan, which was sponsored or aided by the Pakistani establishment, including the political as well as the military. So this is not a hidden truth, also because of the fact that the world knows what happened in 9/11 after the 9/11 attack in the United States, how Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of that attack, was found stone's throw away from the military base in Abbottabad.
Right.
So of course, Pakistan's lies will be exposed. This delegation will be going to countries explaining India's stand, and also it is a diplomatic outreach to bring the international community and to also give out the voice of India and India's stand on terrorism to the global community. So therefore, it's an exercise which is being undertaken by, of course, there is no political color to this because of the fact that the government has meticulously chosen leaders from across political parties, and not just leaders. Actually, there are also diplomats who will be part of this entire delegation that will be going to different countries.
Right, Dibyendu. Also looking at the list of the countries involved, many are members, both permanent and non-permanent, of the Security Council in UN. India to send 7 delegations to 33 countries. Why is India's outreach particularly significant in these nations?
Well, Lipakshi, these are important countries around the world, and countries like France, UAE, France have always been a good partners of India. So is the United States. So therefore, also India's Look East policy, where India's delegation will be going to the Far East countries, including Singapore, Japan, and the other parts of the eastern part of the world. So therefore, India's policy has been very clear from day one that, and also it projects itself as the voice of the global south. So therefore, it will also be reaching out to the countries of the global south, presenting that, Pakistan is not at all a trustworthy country, where it has been waging a proxy war against India for decades now, how its state-sponsored terrorism has crippled, India many a times through their terrorist activities and terror attacks on innocent civilians. Remember, Lipakshi, particularly the key word is terrorist attack on innocent civilians, like what we saw in Pahalgam, where 26 unarmed innocent civilians who had gone on a holiday to the state of Kashmir, that they were attacked by these terrorists that had come from across the border. So therefore, this expose of Pakistan on the global platform is very important.
Right.
Also to the key nations of the United Nations, so that they can be a voice along with India at a global platform like the United Nations, and of course the United Nations Security Council.
Exactly. As you said, the key word is terrorist attack on the innocent civilians. In fact, this campaign will be directly challenging Pakistan's attempts to overshadow terrorism. Do you see this as a strategic masterstroke by the Indian government, and how might it advance India's standing on the global stage?
Well, Lipakshi, it is an outreach program to bring the global community together, and of course, it is commendable, and all political parties have commended this exercise of the government of India to reach out to the global partners, to the global countries across the world, because it is imperative and it is important for India to make its position clear in front of the global community, because Pakistan's false proxy narrative that it has been trying to spread across the world has to be shunned out. India needs to come out with a clear global picture for its global allies and its global friends across the world, and therefore it is extremely important at this juncture to also expose Pakistan's false narrative that is over social media, all over social media, and India has given enough proofs about the terrorist activities of Pakistan, the state-sponsored terrorism of Pakistan, and how can one forget that photograph that was shown by our Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, as well as which was also across all social media platforms, both in India as well as Pakistan, where we saw Pakistan military personnel in uniform attending funerals of terrorists who were killed in Operation Sindoor alongside the terrorists who were attending their funeral. So, of course, this layers and exposes the fact that how the military establishment as well as the political establishment of Pakistan is, neck deep in these terror activities and funding of terrorist activities in the state, inside the country and the state of Pakistan. So, therefore, it is a strategic move. It is absolutely an extremely important move by Pakistan, I beg your pardon, by India to go to the global community, expose Pakistan, counter Pakistan's false narrative that it is trying to spread for a very, very long time, and make India's stand extremely clear that our action was against the terrorist camps, and it is for the world to see that we have made precision strikes on these terror camps that spread across different parts of Pakistan, mainland Pakistan, as well as Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So therefore, it is an extremely important step for the government of India to reach out to the global community and expose Pakistan's nefarious terrorist activities. Nipakshi.
Right. Absolutely an extremely important step by India. Thank you so much, Devyendu, for all those details. And moving on, Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi visited the historic border town of Longewala in Rajasthan, honouring the bravery of soldiers who defended India against overwhelming odds. During an interaction with troops from various forces, he praised their courage and operational readiness in Operation Sindoor amid recent tensions in Rajasthan and Gujarat. He reaffirmed the Indian Army's commitment, stating that any future threats would be met with decisive force. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar interacted with representatives of the Indian community in Netherlands. While interacting with Indian diaspora, EAM Dr. Jaishankar highlighted the contribution of the community to building a stronger relationship between India and the Netherlands. Well, on the first leg of his visit to 3 European nations, Dr. Jaishankar met Defence Minister Ruben Brekelmans in The Hague. During the meet, both the leaders exchanged views on respective security perspectives and challenges. They also spoke about the benefits of forging a bilateral defence partnership. While meeting with his Netherlands counterpart, Casper Veldkamp, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar appreciated Netherlands' strong condemnation of the Pahalgam attack and support for zero tolerance against terrorism. While both the leaders had wide-ranging discussions on deepening their bilateral partnership and engagement with the EU, they also exchanged views on the global situation in an era of multipolarity. And later on, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also pay an official visit to Denmark and Germany. And moving on, Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal held talks with the U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick to expedite the first tranche of the India-U.S. bilateral trade agreement. An Indian delegation led by Piyush Goyal is in the U.S. for talks over the trade deal. India and the United States are intensifying discussions to finalize a scaled-down version of their bilateral trade agreement. On April 29th, the Commerce Ministry highlighted that both the nations are focusing on securing early mutual gains as they move closer to concluding the agreement. Representatives of India's Department of Commerce and the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative met in Washington last month as part of the ongoing discussions on the India-U.S. bilateral trade agreement. And Kaziranga National Park and Tiger Reserve has achieved a milestone, emerging as India's third most visited national park with over 4.43 lakh tourists this season, marking a 35% rise from the last year. Well, foreign tourist numbers also surged by 25%, highlighting its global appeal. New attractions, prominent visits and conservation efforts have boosted visibility, while the tourism surge has fueled local economic growth through jobs and business opportunities. Take a look.
After a successful tourist season, the Kaziranga National Park has wrapped up tourist operations in the park. The elephant safaris had already ended on April 30th. Notably, Kaziranga National Park has secured the third position in India for most visited national parks this year. As the park officially closed for visitors today, park authorities revealed that it received 4.43 lakh visitors during the 2024-25 tourist season, generating nearly 11 crore rupees in revenue. Compared to the previous year, The park saw a 35% rise in domestic visitors and a 25% increase in foreign tourists, with 1,800 international visitors recorded for the first time. Kaziranga continues to be the most visited national park in northeast India. The golden tiger, a rare and majestic attraction, became a major highlight this season, drawing large crowds. The tourist year began on 1st October 2024 and officially ended on 18th May. While tourist numbers usually drop in April to May, this year saw a noticeable increase. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India speaks exclusive to CBSE Class 12 Humanities 2025 topper Shloka Upadhyay. Take a look.
The topper of 12th class CBSE exams in humanities stream. Shloka Upadhyay is here with us. Shloka, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And congratulations, you achieved 499 marks out of 500. A huge achievement, I must say. Were you awed by the result when you received it?
I was very happy. My parents and everybody, since the past 2 days, they've been receiving so many calls, so many messages. Everybody is very happy. But this was not something we had expected. We were definitely expecting a good score. I would say I was expecting 97% and maybe even 98%, but was not expecting such a high score. So I have been very overwhelmed, and I feel it is a very great feeling. But then, of course, it has to pass away. We have to move on, and there are so many things.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. U.S. Supreme Court greenlights Trump administration's plan to end TPS for Venezuelans amid ongoing crisis. First migrants depart U.S. under Project Homecoming with financial assistance and travel support. And U.S. President Trump signs Take It Down Act into law criminalizing non-consensual imagery and deepfakes.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khuranan. Moving on, a new diplomatic push may be gaining ground to end the conflict in Ukraine. U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a key phone call on Monday, with both the leaders signaling fresh willingness to pursue a ceasefire. Here's the latest on the high-stakes talks.
The phone call between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin lasted for more than 2 hours. Trump touted real progress, declaring that Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire, potentially ending a conflict that has now entered its third year.
I think some progress has been made. It's a terrible situation going on over there. 5,000 young people every single week are being killed. So hopefully we did something.
Putin, for his part, thanked Trump and said Moscow is ready to work with Kiev on a memorandum laying out the principles for peace, possibly including a temporary ceasefire, a timeline for talks, and other terms if consensus is reached.
We agreed with the US president that Russia will propose and will be ready to work with the Ukrainian side on a memorandum on a possible future peace agreement.
Shortly thereafter, Trump held a telephonic conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky stressed the need for an immediate ceasefire and revealed efforts to organize a high-level peace summit with the US, EU, UK, Russia, and Ukraine.
During the call, we talked about what is important for Ukraine, the ceasefire. The second topic we talked about is the readiness of the United States to make more serious sanction steps if Russia does not support the ceasefire and doesn't want to end this war. The third thing I asked him is not to make any decisions about Ukraine without us.
Meanwhile, European and US leaders welcomed Pope Leo's offer to host peace talks at the Vatican. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, French President Emmanuel Macron, and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz spoke with Trump in support of renewed negotiations.
I think it would be great to have it at the Vatican. Maybe it would have some extra significance. There's tremendous bitterness, anger, and I think maybe that could help some of that anger. So having it at the Vatican would be, in Rome, would be I think it would be a great idea.
With major players signaling openness to talks, all eyes now turn to whether these early steps can lead to lasting peace. With inputs from Amish Mahajan, Bureau Report, DD India.
And for more on this, we have Akshay Tongre joining us. Well, Akshay, after a 2-hour call between President Trump and Putin, both sides expressed optimism about moving forward towards peace. From the perspective in diplomatic circles, if you talk about how genuine does this momentum seem, and what could be the biggest hurdle in these proposed negotiations?
Well, the biggest hurdle, let's begin with the biggest hurdle first, Lipakshi, as far as the tensions are concerned between Russia and Ukraine. The 5 regions that are the flashpoint as far as these two countries are concerned, they are the biggest question that who is going to administer or rather control these regions. Now, you have Zaporozhye, you have Kherson, Donetsk, Donbass and Crimea. Now, these 5 territories that we are talking about are the territories that have now been occupied by the Russian forces. Kherson, Zaporozhye, Donetsk and Donbass were part of Ukrainian territory before the recent conflict escalated. Crimea was part of Ukraine in about 10 years back before it was annexed by Russia. It also conducted a referendum as far as the population is concerned. The referendum voted majorly in support of Russia as far as the Russian-speaking population is concerned. After the conflict, when Russia has occupied these regions, that has become the flashpoint. In fact, the Ukrainian side is saying that till the time Russia returns them their territory, there is not going to be any peace as far as the region is concerned, and the Ukrainians will keep on fighting. However, the Russian side has maintained that these regions wanted to annex with Russia. They are Russian-speaking populations, the majority in these regions, and Russia, is in now control of these regions, and these will be part of the Russian Federation as well. Right. So that has become the flashpoint as far as the tensions are concerned. But the significance of this talk also seems incomplete till the time the Ukrainian side is completely involved in the talks, because both US and Russia cannot be deciding the fate of Ukraine, especially at a time when Europe also feels threatened about the plans of the Russian government. That what are they going to do in future? So the tensions remain, though there have been attempts to bulldoze this peace by the Trump administration. How successful this is going to be on the ground is the biggest question.
Absolutely. Also, Akshay, as you mentioned, given President Zelensky's stance, strong emphasis on not being sidelined, and his call for tougher sanctions if Russia resists the peace efforts, how is Ukraine positioning itself amid these international moves right now?
Well, Ukraine doesn't have a lot of leverage when it comes to either Russia or the US. The US has been funding the war for Ukraine. They have been giving them, weapons and the funds that are required for the keep up of their armies. And without that, Ukraine would have collapsed much longer back. When it comes to the support coming in from Europe and US, that is the sole reason why Ukraine has been able to sustain against such a mighty adversary. Right. However, when it comes to support coming in from Ukraine, they can try and have some disagreements with the US side, but completely sidelining the US for Ukraine is also not a possibility. And at some point in time, they will have to agree to the US side or take support from the European allies, because that remains the last hope for Ukraine when it comes to continuation of this war, especially at a time when reiterations are coming in from the US for peace between the two countries.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those insights. And moving on Monday, Israel's military confirmed that 5 UN trucks carrying supplies, including baby food, were allowed through the Karim Shalom crossing. Israeli Foreign Ministry Director General Eden Bar-Tai said 8 distribution points inside Gaza should be up and running within days. He added that the Israeli army is working closely with international organizations to resume supply operations immediately in the region. This marks the first delivery since Israel announced a partial easing of its blockade amid mounting global pressure.
An international fund, GHF,
An international fund, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, will operate based on this principle: direct aid to the population in Gaza, but not to Hamas. Israel supports this plan fully. The fund will distribute the aid in several distribution centers located in safe areas of Gaza. The IDF will not take part in the distribution. The IDF will secure the perimeter. The distribution sites should be operating in a matter of days.
take part of the distribution.
Well, despite growing international pressure, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed that Israel will maintain full control over Gaza. This comes as Israel lifts a blockade on aid shipments amid urgent warnings of a looming famine. On Monday, the Israeli military issued fresh evacuation orders for parts of southern Gaza, warning residents in Khan Yunis to flee towards the coast ahead of what it called an unprecedented attack. In a video statement, Netanyahu declared Israel is moving toward what he called complete victory, promising both the return of the 58 hostages still held by Hamas and the full dismantling of the militant group.
We are conducting an immense, intense and tremendous battle. There is progress. We are going to take control of the entire territory of the Gaza Strip. That's what we are going to do.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday allowed the Trump administration to proceed with plans to end temporary protected status, which is TPS, for approximately 350,000 Venezuelans who have been shielded from deportation due to ongoing crisis in their home country. Well, the court's decision enables the termination of TPS while an appeal continues in a lower court. Former President Biden had extended TPS for Venezuelans in early 2021, citing the humanitarian situation under Nicolas Maduro's regime. In response, Venezuelan American activist Adilis Ferro condemned the decision, calling it a discriminatory attack on a community fleeing a dictatorship. Meanwhile, the Trump administration's immigration policies have faced significant legal challenges, including a recent Supreme Court ruling blocking its bid to deport alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. While Venezuela has suspended all flights from Colombia, accusing a group of mercenaries of planning to disrupt the country's upcoming legislative and regional elections. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello stated that 38 people, including 17 foreigners, were arrested for allegedly plotting attacks on embassies, hospitals and police stations. The government tied the suspects to opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who has called for a boycott of the elections on Sunday. Colombia confirmed the flight suspension but expressed concern over the lack of prior notice and details on the threat. Also, the move comes amid rising tensions between Venezuela and Colombia. Passengers were left stranded as flights were cancelled, and some expressed frustration over the disruption to travel plans.
38 new mercenaries have been detained. The Albion mafia that governs Ecuador have sent some of their trained mercenaries to plant bombs in Venezuela. They have been captured. As I have denounced, we have the Albion mafia. We seized 3 phones from them and they are talking. And why is Albanian mafia from Ecuador sending them? Albanian Colombian drug trafficking. And Novoa in Ecuador. Why? Because Eric Prince is there. And if Eric Prince is there, the North American empire is there.
Meanwhile, Colombia's foreign ministry said on Monday it had been informed about a flight suspension by Venezuela's government, although had not yet received information about any detained Colombians. About 38 people have been arrested in connection with the alleged mercenary conspiracy, Cabello said during a press conference with local media. And the first group of undocumented migrants flee out of the United States under a new government initiative, Project Homecoming, the Department of Homeland Security announced on Monday. Self-deported Honduran migrants have arrived to the Ramon Villada Morales Airport in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Project Homecoming offers $1,000 in financial assistance and travel support for migrants who agree to self-deport to their home countries. A total of 64 migrants were flown from Houston, Texas, with 38 heading to Honduras and 26 to Colombia. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem encouraged others to take advantage of the voluntary program, warning that failure to comply would lead to fines, arrest, and permanent exclusion from re-entry into the United States. The initiative is part of broader efforts by the Trump administration to address illegal immigration, including deportations and military deployments at the southern border. Migrant rights groups have raised concerns about the fairness and safety of the program. Also, Trump signed a bill on Monday making it a federal crime to post revenge porn, whether it is real or generated by artificial intelligence. The Take It Down Act, passed with overwhelming bipartisan congressional support, criminalizes non-consensual publication of intimate images while also mandating their removal from online platforms. Websites that fail to remove the images promptly within 48 hours will face civil liabilities. The bill would require social media platforms and websites to have procedures in place to swiftly remove non-consensual intimate imagery upon notification from a victim. First Lady Melania Trump endorsed the bill in early March and attended the signing ceremony in a rare public White House appearance. In remarks at the signing ceremony, she described the bill as a national victory that will help parents and families protect children from online exploitation. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Canada Post faces potential shutdown as union issues strike notice amid financial crisis and failed contract talks. Japan is sticking to demand for U.S. to eliminate tariffs.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri to brief MP delegations in 2 phases before diplomatic outreach on Operation Sindoor. 59 leaders to visit 33 countries in the coming days. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins Europe tour with the Netherlands, appreciates country's support against terrorism. Expediting first tranche of bilateral trade pact, Union Minister Piyush Goyal meets U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick, advances India-U.S. trade talks. Russia-Ukraine likely to seal peace deal after U.S. President Trump speaks to his counterparts Putin and Zelensky. Trump says Russia and Ukraine to immediately start peace talks. Former U.S. President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis snowballs into a political issue. Trump fuels speculation that cancer diagnosis was covered up, says he's surprised the public was not informed about it. India braces for further rain fury as Met Department issues alert for extremely heavy rainfall in south and northeastern India. Karnataka continues to be on alert for extremely heavy rainfall. And moving on, former U.S. President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis has fueled a political battle after Donald Trump raised questions about the timing of Joe Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis. Trump suggested the public should have been informed earlier, fueling speculation about a cover-up. DD India's Antra Sinha tells us more.
A fresh firestorm seems brewing on the US political horizon after US President Donald Trump raised concerns over the timing and transparency surrounding former President Joe Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis. Biden revealed Monday that he's battling an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. US President Donald Trump fueled speculation that cancer diagnosis was covered up.
I think it's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. When you take tests, medical, as a male, that test is very standard. I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about. And it takes a long time to get to that situation. I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there, and that's being proven to be a sad situation.
Trump's remarks have sparked speculation that Biden's team deliberately withheld the diagnosis, raising questions about the level of transparency from the White House. The comment comes amid a broader political narrative in which Trump has repeatedly questioned Biden's physical and cognitive fitness, making his health disclosure a focal point. The onslaught carried on, fueled by claims from Trump's allies, including his son, Donald Trump Jr., and Vice President J.D. Vance, who questioned whether the cancer could have been detected sooner. Despite the controversy, Biden has responded to the outpouring of support with grace. He posted on X saying, "Cancer touches us all. Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." Biden also received messages of support from leaders around the world, including King Charles of the United Kingdom, who is undergoing cancer treatment himself. The king has written privately to the former US president after he was diagnosed, as per the Buckingham Palace. While Biden's health remains under scrutiny, experts say that prostate cancer can often go undetected in its early stages, even with regular medical checkups. Given the advanced stage of Biden's cancer, questions remain about whether earlier detection could have made a difference, though doctors caution it is difficult to say definitively. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And US President Donald Trump is calling for a major investigation into top celebrities, including Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen, accusing them of accepting millions to endorse his 2024 opponent, Kamala Harris. Trump has claimed that Beyonce was paid $11 million to appear at a Harris rally, allegations the Harris team denies. Trump said this was according to news reports. The US president said he intended to call for a major investigation into this matter. Oprah Winfrey also acknowledged a $1 million payment to her production company, while Springsteen was accused of receiving funds for a Georgia performance. Trump argued these payments may constitute illegal campaign contributions disguised as entertainment fees. The US President Trump, who defeated Harris, claims Harris used his celebrity endorsements to artificially inflate crowd sizes. As tensions rise, Trump continues his feud with Springsteen, calling him highly overrated and politically biased. Well, the UK and the European Union on Monday held a much-anticipated summit in London. The meeting took place in the backdrop of an unpredictable global dynamic created by the US. It is the UK's most significant reset of defence and trade ties with the EU since Brexit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer hailed it as a win-win deal. For her part, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen called it a big day because the EU and the UK are now turning the page and opening a new chapter. Raghav Kumar Jha reports for more.
Britain and the European Union on Monday reached a landmark deal setting out closer ties on defence and trade, launching a new chapter after the UK's acrimonious exit from the bloc 5 years ago. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said it's a win-win deal and the reset in ties with UK's biggest trading partner would reduce red tape for food and agricultural producers, making food cheaper and improve energy security. In a statement, the Downing Street said the pact adds nearly £9 billion to the British economy by 2040.
We are agreeing a new strategic partnership, fit for our times, providing real, tangible benefits on security, irregular migration, energy prices, agri-food, trade and more, bringing down bills, creating jobs and protecting our borders. We've delivered this progress through hard work together at every level.
5 years after Brexit, the Defence and Security Pact means Britain, a defence heavyweight, will take part in joint procurement projects. It also paves the way for the UK to access the Security Action for Europe, a £150 billion EU fund providing loans for defence projects. The two sides also agreed to lift controls imposed on UK exports to the 27-country bloc. On fishing, the new deal gives EU boats continued access to UK waters until 2038. In return, the UK gets reduced checks on food and drink traded with the bloc, making it easier for British products such as burgers and sausages to be sold in the EU. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen said it was a big day because EU and UK are now turning the page and opening a new chapter.
Indeed, this is a big day because we are now turning the page and opening a new chapter. A new chapter that is so important in these times because we see the rise of geopolitical tensions, but we are like-minded. We share the same values. We know that we work shoulder by shoulder, hand in hand, when it's really coming to crisis and difficult moments.
Trump's tariffs, amidst warnings that Europe act to protect itself, forced governments of the continent to rethink trade, defense and security ties, bringing British Prime Minister Starmer closer to France, Emmanuel Macron and other European leaders together. Is the third deal Britain has struck this month after agreements with India and the US, and while it's unlikely to lead a meaningful economic boost immediately, it could lift corporate sentiment, drawing the much needed investment. Raghav Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Negotiator Ryoshi Akazawa said that there was no change to Tokyo's stance of demanding an elimination of U.S. tariffs in bilateral trade negotiations. Akazawa said the two countries held working-level trade talks in Washington on Monday. The schedule of a third round of ministerial-level negotiations was yet to be fixed, he added. On April 2nd, U.S. President Donald Trump imposed 10% tariffs on all countries except Canada, Mexico and China, along with higher tariff rates for many big trading partners, including Japan, which faces a 24% tariff rate starting in July unless it can negotiate a deal with Washington. Japanese policymakers and ruling party lawmakers have said they see no merit in striking a deal with the United States unless a 25% tariff on automobile imports is lifted, given the industry's economic importance. While Japan was the first major economy to start bilateral trade talks with Washington, Britain was the first to strike a deal with the Trump administration. China and the United States also agreed to a 90-day truce in their trade war that had threatened a global recession. And the union representing 55,000 Canada Post workers on Monday gave a strike notice that could see the nation's financially precarious postal service shut down by the week's end. The announcement comes after contract talks broke down and a government-appointed commission concluded last week that dramatic changes were required to save the bankrupt postal service. Well, Canada Post said it received the strike notice from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers indicating workers would walk off the job on Friday. The government in December had called a time out in a previous week's long strike ahead of the busy holiday shopping season after the two sides reached an impasse. On Friday, the Commission in a report urged a phasing out of daily door-to-door letter mail delivery and the hiring of part-time employees to deliver parcels on the weekend among its recommendations. This would be its second labour disruption in 6 months. And World Health Organization members have overwhelmingly backed a historic global treaty on improving pandemic preparedness, with 124 countries voting in favour at the World Health Assembly in Geneva. Triggered by Slovakia's call for a vote driven by its vaccine-skeptic Prime Minister, 11 nations abstained, including Russia, Israel and Iran, but none opposed. The agreement is the result of 3 years of hard-fought negotiations and aims to fix global disparities in access to vaccines and health tools exposed by the COVID-19 crisis. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus praised the move as a victory for equity and safety. The treaty will be formally adopted on Tuesday, though its full implementation hinges on a pending annex on pathogen sharing, delaying enforcement up to 2 years. The U.S. remains outside the pact. And moving on to some weather updates now. India's weather department issued a red alert for Karnataka as more rain is predicted over the next 5 days in the state. State capital Bangalore witnessed rains early in the morning on Tuesday, leading to traffic jams and water logging at several places. A cyclonic circulation is persisting over the central west Bay of Bengal, and another system is expected to form near the Karnataka coast by May 21st. This system may intensify into a low pressure area by May 22nd, likely enhancing rainfall activity across Tamil Nadu. The IMD has issued a warning for heavy to very heavy rainfall across Tamil Nadu over the next 5 days due to multiple weather systems. Since the onset of the pre-monsoon season, Tamil Nadu has received 90% more rainfall than usual, with Chennai recording 83% excess rain. An orange alert has been issued for several districts in Kerala, warning of heavy rainfall and the possibility of flooding. The northern parts of Kerala are expected to experience heavy rainfall till May 23rd, while the south and central parts will receive moderate rains. The IMD declared the monsoon's arrival in the Andaman Islands on May 13th, marking an advance of 10 days compared to the usual schedule. And due to frequent below normal maximum temperatures, dust storms and thunderstorms may has been unusual weather in India. However, the temperature may not affect the onset of the southwest monsoon this year. Yellow alert has been issued for rain in 5 hilly districts of Uttarakhand, providing relief from the heat. However, dry weather in the plains may lead to rising temperatures. Authorities have advised residents, especially in hilly areas, to stay vigilant amid possible thunderstorms and strong winds. With monsoon rains expected to hit Uttarakhand in the coming month, relief from scorching heat is anticipated, bringing a welcome shift to the region's weather dynamics. Though India's national capital is also reeling under intense heat, as the maximum temperature might reach 46 degrees Celsius, while minimum temperature in Delhi today is likely to hover around 31 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, monsoons have knocked the doors of northeast as fairly widespread light moderate rainfall with thunderstorms and lightning and gusty winds is reaching northeast for the next 7 days. None of the rivers are flowing above danger level in Assam yet. And for more on the weather, we have Subina Roy joining us from Dibrugarh, Assam, and we have Ritesh Ranjan joining us from Chennai. Well, Subina, my first question to you. The monsoon, of course, has arrived in the northeast. How are things looking in Dibrugarh right now? With the heavy rains disrupting daily life, are the authorities fully prepared to handle the downpour this time?
Yes, Lipakshi, the IMD has issued orange alert for Assam and Meghalaya for the coming 2 days, that is 19th and 20th. And for the next 7 days, the whole of Northeast is likely to experience moderate to widespread rainfalls. Now, the monsoon has arrived early this time, and the southwest monsoon as such has the maximum effect in the entire northeast. First, the major reason is due to the Himalayas, due to which the orographic shift of the rain occurs and the rain condenses in the form of rains. Secondly is that due to the hills that the Brahmaputra Valley is surrounded by. In the Arunachal, you see there are hills, then Nagaland and Mizoram. And so these hills also is a major factor, for the heavy rainfalls out here. Then thirdly, we have the Bay of Bengal, where the moisture-laden rains come and causes rain. Now, going to talk about how it affects normal life. So, when there are rains, there are situations of landslide, particularly in the hilly areas,
right,
like Barak region, and then we have the rivers that Assam has this mighty Brahmaputra and its tributaries. tributaries which get flooded due to heavy rainfall. Now, talking about the preparedness, Pakshi, the state government has taken quick measures. Recently, the chief secretary conducted a state-level preparedness meeting to see the coordination among different departments, the NDRF, SDRF, and the health department, and the food and supplies department, Pakshi.
All right, Subina. Ritesh, Tamil Nadu is also bracing for heavy rains as cyclonic systems develop over Bay of Bengal. Which districts are currently on high alert, and what kind of warnings or advisories have been put out for the coming days?
Well, the northern part of Tamil Nadu, and especially talking about which district now, Karaikal, Dindigul, Coimbatore, Nilgiri district, and Kanchipuram, Chengalpattu, these districts are actually are on high alert, yellow alert, because heavy and light and moderate rain is supposed to be there. And most important part is now when this rain is coming, pre-monsoon rain is coming, Tamil people are very much excited because we are feeling very relieved. Because it was very, it was very hot in the past few days. We were seeing temperature was going 37, 39 like that. In some hilly, some areas like Velup and Ranipet, it was, people were suffocating from heat. Now they're getting relieved. The southern western monsoon. It is actually air cyclonic circulation. Because of that, this rain is coming, and government is well prepared to handle such kind of situation, because the learning lesson from past, they are well prepared, and that is why Chief Minister M.K. Stalin have took a meeting yesterday with senior officials and senior ministers, and taking care of, taking the information, and he has alerted all the district collectors.
Right.
That, a 24-hour helpline should be there, and the rescue and rehabilitation centers should be kept alive, and more number of essential goods like food, grain, electricity, everything should be there, well prepared way ahead. There is not much. Chennai is not seeing much rain here. We saw a little bit of rain yesterday, and early morning we are seeing the rain. Chennai is not going to face the heavy rain.
All right, thank you so much, Subina and Ritesh, for all those details from there. And moving on, in a thrilling display of courage, the National Cadet Corps, NCC's Mount Everest expedition team, summited the world's highest peak at 4 hours 45 minutes today, showcasing youth empowerment and adventure. Meanwhile, a joint Indian Army and Nepal Army team led by Colonel Sarfaraz Singh and Captain Prashant Khanka conquered Kanchenjunga, strengthening India-Nepal bonds. Yesterday, Nemas also scaled Kanchenjunga. Another Indian Army group alongside JIM, NIM and HMI is set to summit Everest on May 22nd, marking a historic milestone in military mountaineering. And every year on May 20th, the world comes together to recognize World Autoinflammatory Arthritis Day. This global event shines a spotlight on these diseases, aiming to educate and empower those affected. Preeti Kaur gets us a detailed report.
Autoimmune diseases cause a person's immune system to mistakenly attack the normal cells. In autoimmune arthritis, such as rheumatoid arthritis, the immune system attacks the lining of the joints. This inflammation is not confined to the joints and can affect other body organs. Autoimmune arthritis is an umbrella term covering several different types of diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, lupus, and gout. There are over 100 different types of autoimmune arthritis. Autoimmune arthritis can cause damage to joints, cartilage, and bone. Joints are usually affected symmetrically. That is, if you have pain in one joint, you will likely notice it in the same place on the other side of your body. Rheumatoid arthritis, a common autoimmune disease, affects about 0.9% of the adult population in India. It is characterized by joint inflammation, pain, and potential joint damage if left untreated. While the exact cause is unknown, factors like genetics, environmental triggers, and lifestyle choices can play a role. Symptoms vary greatly from person to person, as does the rate of progression. World Autoimmune Arthritis Day is an awareness day to shed light on autoimmune forms of arthritis and provide support for individuals living with these conditions. The first Autoimmune Arthritis Day was observed on May 20th, 2012 to address a major gap in public understanding of these diseases. The goal of this day is to educate people about how autoimmune and autoinflammatory diseases differ, highlight how these conditions overlap in symptoms like arthritis, unite patients, caregivers, doctors, researchers, and advocates in raising awareness. By focusing on education and advocacy, this day helps reduce stigma and misinformation while fostering empathy for those living with these chronic illnesses. Preeti Kaur, DD India.
Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. The Khelo India Beach Games 2025 kicked off in style with the opening ceremony in the Union Territory of Daman and Diu. Union Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia called the games open, where a lineup of cultural performances and athlete parade were organized to showcase vibrant traditions and talents from various states. Suchitra Bharadwaj has more on this.
The opening ceremony of the first Khelo India Beach Games 2025 was held at the beautiful Gogla Beach of Diu. The theme of the inaugural edition of Khelo India Beach Games is Sports Stars on the Shores of Diu. Cultural programs organized during the inaugural ceremony featured a spectacular presentation of famous dance forms from various states of India, followed by a parade of all the players. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi wished for the success of the games in his message. Union Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia, who was present as the chief guest on the occasion, said that it was very pleasant to have beach games added to the chain of Khelo India, as this will bring more players forward in the water sports in this country.
अरबी समुद्र के तट पर दीव में आज बीच गेम्स 2025 का शुभारंभ हुआ। दीव में जिस तरह से बीच गेम्स की व्यवस्था बनी है, जिस तरह से तैयारियां हुई है और लास्ट बीच गेम्स का अनुभव देखते हुए दीव को बीच गेम्स डेस्टिनेशन के रूप में विकसित करा जाएगा। आज सभी एथलीट को जो 3 दिन के लिए यहाँ खेलेंगे, सभी को मैं अभिनंदन करता हूँ।
Sports Minister formally inaugurated the games by lighting the torch of Khelo India Beach Games. The Khelo India Beach Games will be underway in Daman and Diu and the Dadar and Nagar Haveli from 19th to 24th May. 6 medal sports, which includes beach football, beach volleyball, beach sepak takraw, beach kabaddi, penchak silat, and open water swimming, will be organized under Khelo India Beach Games. Meanwhile, Malakhamb and tug of war will be included as exhibition sports.
The opening ceremony of Khelo India Beach Games was the perfect example of Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat. There were glimpses of Gujarat's Garba and Punjab's Bhangra, Kathakali and Bihu. And now, these beach games will provide a perfect platform to the upcoming players to showcase their talent in the water sports. With camera person Ajit, this is Suchitra reporting for DD India from Diu.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code in the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.